Animation has become a very big business, as releases from the major studios are reliably amongst the most profitable of any given year. Smaller studios and animation schools are cranking out hundreds of talented artists annually, each generation provided with ever newer technology to assist them in illustrating their inner worlds. But the ability of the skilled animator to bring the impossible and unreal to life can have the result of giving us imagery which we are not sure we wanted to see, from inner worlds we perhaps should not have visited. The following works of animation are all designed to keep you thinking about them long after the lights go out. Number 10. Boogeyman by Flipbook Studios. British animation and visual effects studio Flipbook produced this gem on their downtime, funding it themselves and releasing it on Halloween 2013. Employing the same motion capture and sound design collaborators they often use on video game projects, managing director Andrew Lord says the team scared ourselves a little bit with this film. We'd wanted to produce our own short animation for a while, and as the team is generally quite cheerful, we were surprised when we devised this twisted story. The animation is impeccable, and the title character's appearance is extremely creepy, menacing, and takes a very sudden turn for the unexpected. Although one of the shorter entries on this list, the short seems to want to set up a larger and very interesting story. It's rather chilling to take on just what the Boogeyman may or may not be after all, when he appears late at night. Number 9. Foxed by James Stewart and Nev Bezaire. Another entry that plays on common childhood fears, the animation style of Foxed has a jerky stop-motion look and character design that is unnerving before we even know the premise. And once we do, it is a twisted one indeed. The short's hero, a little girl named Emily, is being held captive, working in a dark, dirty mine. Her captor, a horrifying and somewhat Donnie Darko-looking fox, allows her to escape, but only temporarily. Long enough for her to get a shocking glimpse of where she is and what has happened to her. Director James Stewart's 2013 short brought him enough attention that it is being developed into a feature, which will expound on Emily's situation and plot to escape with the other captives. The film is being shot in 3D, and will also have an accompanying Oculus Rift experience, which I think you can go ahead and count me out of, because I enjoy my sleep. Number 8. Mound by Allison Schulnik. Mound was created by Los Angeles-based painter and sculptor Allison Schulnik, whose animated works are done primarily in clay. After producing one piece set to a song from the rock band Grizzly Bear, and subsequently creating one of their videos, in 2011 she created this. The film opens with a shot of a great many white figures, which is one of the few things that can be said with certainty about what is supposed to be happening here, but it soon gets strangely difficult to watch. The artist says that she created over 100 sculptures for the film, from clay, wire, and wood. The short soundtrack, the 1969 Scott Walker ballad It's Raining Again, is the left field yet somehow perfect choice for an accompaniment to the bizarre proceedings, which again, I lack either the esoteric vocabulary or the mind-altering drugs to describe properly. The unease is generated mainly from the way Miss Schulnik's sculptures shift and transform in uncomfortable ways, all to the gentle strains of that melancholy and oddly spooky song. Number 7. A True Story by Rocky Bergen. It's safe to say that a true story is probably not a true story. Its narrative certainly plays like an urban legend, or perhaps some amalgam of 2 or 3 you might have heard. The animator Rocky Bergen states in the description that it is a final project for college, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of information available about him. If you ask me, that helps add to this short's creepiness, not that it needs much help. Presented with no dialogue except short exclamatory sounds, A True Story is masterful in its buildup of suspense and slow reveal of its payoff. Its stark character design and light effects make clever use of its flash-style animation, and the sound design is likewise excellent despite no dedicated sound designer being credited. A talented artist is Rocky Bergen, if indeed he really exists. Maybe this is how urban legends get started, and years from now, several of you will swear up and down that this happened to a friend of your sister. Number 6. Isolated by Peak Pictures. Created by Chilean animation and visual effects house Peak Pictures, Isolated garnered buzz upon its release on Vimeo, and for good reason. Aside from being intensely suspenseful, artfully composed and offering tantalizing hints at a much larger story, the animation is flat-out spectacular. Director Tomas Voguera had to reassure fans in Vimeo's comments section that there was, indeed, no live action footage incorporated. Easily the most technically accomplished entry on this list, Isolated utilizes motion capture, painstakingly rendered backgrounds, and frenetic simulated camera work to create an eerily realistic impression of a city overrun by dark, slouching creatures and a desperate escape attempt by our silent protagonist. As he comes to the end of his flight, he discovers that it had been pointless to run all along, but not for the reason that you might think. Number 5. Haunt by Glenn Zimmatore. I would like to inject here that these types of lists tend to build in intensity and craziness as they go on, and that we have reached the halfway point. Consider yourself warned. Created in 2006 by London filmmaker Glenn Zimmatore, Haunt looks like something that has likely had a powerful influence on some works that have come after it. Its build-up and climax are strongly reminiscent of the highly regarded 2013 live-action short Lights Out, which has since been adapted into a feature film, and its insanely creepy character design and stop-motion jerkiness have also been employed by less talented filmmakers, but they work very, very effectively here. Aided by a mournful acoustic guitar score, the brief 4-minute film seems to stretch on interminably, somehow generating absolutely unbearable levels of tension and a thick atmosphere of dread from very little action. When the tension is finally pierced, Haunt is more likely to make you leap out of your seat screaming than any other entry on this list. Number 4. Who's Hungry by David Ochs. Another exceptionally assured student film from a filmmaker with very little web presence, David Ochs' Who's Hungry is an update of the Hansel and Gretel legend, animated in the sweet and innocent style of the 50s, in which our hero, an intrepid little girl, approaches a hulking, sinister ice cream man. And then, the whole thing turns shockingly brutal and gory very quickly. In a blog post, Mr. Ochs' story professor at Cal Arts revealed that the 5-minute short almost didn't get screened at the coveted year-end producer's show, as the time limit for entries was 90 seconds, unless said entry was selected by the student body as the best film, which it was. Other than the fact that he produced this film as a 23-year-old freshman and has a psychotic sense of humor, little additional information can be found about David Ochs. Number 3. Rabbit by Run Wrake. In an even more literal instance of turning the innocence of childhood into nightmare fuel, British animator Run Wrake used an extremely novel method to animate his 2006 short, Rabbit. Wanting to evoke the artistic style of old Fun with Dick and Jane children's books, Wrake got his hands on some old educational stickers from the 50s of the type that illustrate letter sounds. J is for Jewel, R is for Rabbit, etc. Using the illustrations to concoct his storyline, he then scanned them into his computer, laid them onto character models, and animated the whole thing in the software suite After Effects. The result, complete with helpful text descriptions floating above each object, is the bizarre story of two kids who find a mysterious golden idol inside a rabbit that they kill, just for fun. Discovering that it can turn bugs into jewels, they hatch a plan to become royalty that does not exactly go out the way they had planned. Rabbit earns its entry by way of its singularly unsettling atmosphere and perfect Twilight Zone-style ending. Number 2. Malice and Wonderland by Vince Collins. Now is when you really want to pay attention to that warning from a while back. The remaining entries feature the type of imagery that is decidedly unchild-friendly and will be genuinely disturbing to some. Much of the animations of the 1970s and early 1980s had a childlike, surreal quality that could be unsettling in and of itself. Malice in Wonderland, created in 1982 by animator Vince Collins, capitalizes on this quality in an almost cruel sense. It is barely recognizable by its title, and a few visual cues as a psycho-Freudian retelling of Alice in Wonderland, which I don't remember containing any repulsive, screaming, naked humanoids transforming into unspeakable spider creatures or any of the other images on display here, some of which frankly defy description. Collins, who went on to journeyman work in television and film, completed the work while struggling to make a living after moving to California. It was roundly booed and reviled at film festivals for its borderline pornographic and disturbing imagery, so of course it has found new life on the internet. Number 1. Deloused by Robert Morgan. When filmmaker Robert Morgan was a small boy, he had a fevered dream about a giant pink furry woodlouse crawling onto my bed and sucking my fingers into its mouth. If you're familiar with Mr. Morgan's work, this may explain a lot. If not, it may at least go some way toward explaining Deloused, a work of unflinching unpleasantness that carries an equally bleak message about death and dying. Our protagonist, if he can be called that, appears to be headed for a horrifying end at the hands and instruments of 3 malevolent figures. While he appears to get a second chance at life, the film's ending makes it clear that there are no second chances. At least that much is clear. The film's visual style, like all of the filmmaker's work, is as bizarre and nonsensical as the nightmare that inspired it. The short is perhaps the pinnacle of Mr. Morgan's body horror-infused, grotesquely colorful stop-motion animation technique, and was included, under the name D is for Deloused, in the well-regarded 2014 anthology feature, The ABCs of Death 2. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Let's Read. But what do you think? Which nightmarish animation do you know of that didn't make the list? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you got any ideas for a new top countdown, be sure to send those ideas to the email in the description, and you might just see it in the next video.